Today we meet Sarah, who is chatting to me from a beach in Hopkins, Belize. Sarah, her husband Mike, and their two young boys are on a 16-month round-the-world adventure. They've already crammed in so many countries and experiences, including trekking to the top of Poon Hill in Nepal, driving around South Australia, snorkeling in Mexico, and integrating with the locals in northern Vietnam. So should we rewind to the beginning of why you made this decision to actually head off and travel the world?
Well, we were both working really, really hard, and we'd done loads of building work to the house, and I was working part-time. Mike was working all the time, and his mum died, and he was like, we just kind of thought we wanted to do something a bit different. And actually, we thought about moving to the countryside. We thought about moving to Wales. And then we had a house valued because of all the work. I'd been living there for so long. And because of all the work we'd done, actually, the value of the house was more than I thought it was. I had literally no idea because I'm totally oblivious to anything sensible. So when we found out how much a house was worth, we were like, oh my God, we could buy that house in Wales in the countryside and we could probably have some change. And it was a bit like winning the lottery. We were just like, we've got equity in the house we didn't even know that we had. So we paid off all of our debts and we're like, well, this is the money we've got. We could put this amount aside for another deposit as the children, but a deposit aside for when we come back or for whatever. And then we'll be completely free of any ties and we can make another decision either on the road or when we get back about where we want to put down roots after the travel. But we were thinking a year to 18 months we'll be away. We've done nearly a year now, actually. And yeah, it was just a bit of a shake-up, really. We just thought, well, we're going to miss the kids' childhood. We're working all of the time, and it's just all of the after-school clubs and all of the activities, all of the childcare juggling, and it was just like, oh God, it was just, we all just had kind of enough, really, and we just thought, well, why are we doing all this? And we never really. So we thought what would be a really good thing to do would be to just sell it all and just go and see what happens, and then we can make decisions on purpose.
So just before you left, were there any moments when you thought, what on earth are we doing? Did you have any doubt, or were you 100% for the decision to travel?
I was completely for it. Obviously, I've always wanted to do it. There were moments when I was like, God, the kids are losing their really good friends. They were babies. Our house is a really lovely house in a nice middle-class area. People worked really hard to get what we got. And then I was like, I can't not do it now. As soon as the idea was there, once you kind of thought about it, you can't not do it because it'd be one of those things you thought, I wish we had, or I wonder what would have happened if we had. So as soon as the idea was out there, we couldn't say no. Fine. There are always doubts, but there's always that thought that if we don't do it, we'll regret it.
Yeah. What have been the highs of your travel so far?
It's not all glitz and glamour and huge adventures, but the Himalayas in Nepal with the kids was the most completely ridiculously amazing thing. I literally got goosebumps just thinking about it. It was just amazing.
Your photos were great.
Oh, I just loved it. All of us loved it. The children, they say it was their highlight too. Oh. Just climbing that. They wanted to live there.
And I think you integrated, didn't you, with the locals? And that's probably why it was one of the highlights.
Yeah, for sure. We did some voluntary work. So we got a workaway placement. And we were in a small village up the mountain, that's actually, for a week. It was just amazing because they just totally accepted us and we just made friends and they slaughtered a goat for us and I had to eat goat brain. But, it was beautiful. It was a really lovely experience.
How are the kids finding it? I mean, because it's a totally different lifestyle to what how they were living in Bristol. So have you sort of got any coping strategies that you could share?
Yeah, I mean, they do miss their friends, probably more in the beginning. But we've met other children along the way and they do Skype their friends and we have good enough Wi-Fi, which isn't very often. But we do, we have things that we do. So every time we go somewhere new, we just let the kids bounce on the bloody bed. Because in the beginning, we're like, don't bounce on the bed. Unless we think the bed's going to break or we're causing loads of noise, we're just that's what they do to kind of reclaim their space. They bounce on the bed, then they wrestle, they fall off the bed, they hurt themselves, and then they're done. That's what they do to settle in. And then they love going to the same restaurant every day, which is good if you find a good restaurant, but if you don't, it's a nightmare. So we always try and eat at the same place because they really like that stability of at least going to the same place, seeing the same people. They know what's on the menu. We try not to move all of the time.
Yeah.
We try to do one big activity a day, because more than that and they just feel too overwhelmed. And we try and stay somewhere for like between 5 days and a week at each spot, so that they can kind of put down some roots and there's like some stability. So we can travel a lot slower. We have to travel a lot slower than we did before kids. But that's like a small price to pay, because when we were traveling quickly, like when we were on a road trip in Australia, we were moving every 2 days, and like they just hated it. They got so sick of it. They got so cross. They wanted to go home. And like that's like a bit of a wake up call, because it was like that was our decision to move every 2 days because we wanted to cover all of the ground. And actually, we probably could have done less. And on reflection, we would have done less, and stopped more. So there's things that we do to make. But if you ask the eldest, all he misses is his PlayStation.
So you've got 4 months left of your trip. How sure are you of what you're going to do when you get back? What plans have you made?
Well, we decided quite a while ago we wanted to go back to Wales, because we've got friends there that live kind of off grid in Machynlleth in mid Wales, and they have the most beautiful like house, and their children are the same age as our kids, and they're completely feral and wild and outdoors all the time. And so we've kind of wanted to kind of have a life a bit more like that, and they've invited us to live on the land for years, basically. So we thought about how we could make that work. They've got a yurt platform, so we kind of thought, well, we've got money in the bank, we could buy the yurt outright, put it on their land, have next to no rent, and then we can do more saving up for travel. Like our carbon footprint's really massive after traveling, catching so many flights. I kind of feel like we should give it a bit back to the earth. Like anyway, we want to live a more simple life. Like we're happy living with just our bags. Like we literally don't really need any more, and that's a real realization. Like we had a huge house full of stuff. We got rid of it, and we don't really need it. We don't miss any of the stuff that I've sold. We don't miss any of the things we don't really have. Like the boys miss some toys, and occasionally I go, oh, that would have been nice to look at that book, but it's not like a big deal. So we can live with less.
What advice would you offer any families who are in the community who are planning a trip or thinking about it or debating whether they should do it? What would be your words of wisdom?
I think just to be brave, because it's really hard to step back and look at your life from a different perspective, because you kind of feel like you're shunted along and everyone's on a treadmill to get the job, the house, the car, and do all of the after school clubs. But actually, it doesn't have to be forever either. Like you can do a 3-month travel or a 6-month travel. It doesn't have to be selling everything. And we've loved it. And we love it so much we want to keep traveling. So that's testament. But we spent loads of time with the children. We've seen places that I didn't even really know existed, all of us together, and that's been amazing. And I've even revisited places and seen the world through their eyes. Again, like there's countries that I didn't like before that I liked this time because I've got the children with me and I'm looking at it completely freshly, and it's amazing.